justice for Alexander Volkov. Absolute justice for Alexander Volkov, as he's been booked a title eliminator against Jailton Almeida in the heavyweight division. This one's going to be taken at UFC 321, which is actually insane to think that we're even at UFC 321. But justice for Volkov, man. Fucking hell. The dude, Dana White, literally said, oh, we'll make it up to you, bro. We'll make it up to you. And then he just gives him Jailton Almeida. Now, this is absolutely a #1 contender fight, because we know with this being booked, that guarantees Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Listen, I've made so many videos on Aspinall versus Gane, okay? We know it's next. We just want to find out when it is. A lot of rumors are saying October, November. So this card potentially, or MSG, they usually stack Abu Dhabi cards. So I'm not 100%, you know, surprised if the UFC pulled an Aspinall versus Gane on that card. But they do need kind of like a big name main event for MSG, and I feel like you can just play Ankalaev versus Pereira, the rematch at Abu Dhabi. Do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily see a big problem with that. Ankalaev is kind of like, you know, Ankalaev fights in Abu Dhabi quite a bit, you could say. You know, he's always on those cards, and you know, Pereira, why not just book that as a rematch? And if that fight doesn't happen, then we have a #1 contender. We can even do a face-off in the cage here with Volkov versus Almeida. I'm going to be picking Volkov to knock out Jailton Almeida, okay? If we look at Almeida's resume, he's got some very good wins here. So, Sergey Spivak, he finished. Alexander Romanov, he finished. Derek Lewis didn't finish him, but Rosenstrike and shit like that, the dude's got very good grappling. But I just will never, ever be able to overlook, my bad, the Curtis Blades loss. That, when you show me a part of you like that, I can just never overlook it, okay? Volkov got one of the worst robberies in UFC history. That's why I said at the start of this video, justice for Alexander Volkov against Cyril Gane. That was bad. That was bad. Bad! Bro, that was bad, okay? He fucking schooled Sergey Pavlovich like I said he would. Beat Taiji Ivasa, you know, Romanov as well, Jairzinho, Rosenstrike. That was all since the Tom Aspinall fight. So Volkov has gotten so much better over the years. So much better, okay? He's way better at planting his shots. Planting his feet with his shots, I should say. Grappling's improving heavily. You know what I mean? He just seems way more sturdy at range than before. And he showed that against Gane. I picked Cyril Gane to beat him. I thought Cyril Gane was just going to dance on him. You know what I mean? Like, they fought before. I think Gane was like the clear one to pick. I genuinely didn't think Volkov would win that fight at all. But Cyril Gane, you know, the poster boy of French MMA, a massive pillar in European MMA, got the nod. And now Volkov got, I wouldn't even say he got rewarded. He did not get rewarded. I do think this is a good matchup for Volkov. I will be picking him to beat Almeida, like I said, so I'm not entirely mad at it either. But I would have liked to have seen Volkov just got, like, you know, maybe even a Blades rematch or something like that. You know, Curtis Blades is right there, and he always is kind of right there. But then again, I think the idea of doing Volkov versus Aspinall when he beats Gane is a lot more attractive than doing the Curtis Blades one, which we saw a year ago. You know, the Aspinall versus Gane one's about, or Aspinall versus Volkov is about fucking 3.5 years ago now. Do you know what I mean? And Volkov is a completely different fighter since then, so you can build off that. And I also think Jailton Almeida versus Tom Aspinall is a fresh matchup and heavyweight main event as Aspinall's second title defense. Don't give me this first title defense bullshit. He defended an interim belt against Curtis Blades. This will be his second title defense against Cyril Gane, and I hope he fucking smashes him to pieces. Jailton Almeida as a fresh matchup is very appealing. It's very appealing to me. It's very appealing to all the fans, if we're being honest with you here. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think Volkov is just going to be... Almeida's not even like a massive heavyweight, is he? He's really not. Almeida's not a massive heavyweight. I never looked at Jailton Almeida and thought, fuck me, you're big. He's muscly, but he's quite like small, which I think it does work into his favor. But when you come up against someone like Volkov, I think he's like 6'6" or 7", or he could be 6'8". I don't even know. He's so tall, Volkov. Okay, when you come up against a rangy striker like that who can grapple, plants his shots, is going to pick you at range, I think Volkov's going to have a good time here. I think Almeida's striking's fucking mid as fuck. I'm sorry, like I said, after seeing the Curtis Blades fight, some things you just can't unsee. There are some things in this world you just can't unsee, and I think him quitting in front of us against Curtis Blades, because that's what he did, is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. And don't give me this, oh, well, you're not a UFC fighter. Fuck off. I hate that so much. That's one of the worst. Lucas Tracy made a video on that the other day. Those kind of fans, oh, well, you're not a UFC fighter. Fuck off, man. Honestly, fuck right off. I've never claimed to be... Would Jailton Almeida beat me in a fight? I fucking hope so. Me who's had like 2 or 3 years training on MMA compared to him who's in a number 1 contender fight for the heavyweight world title. I'm gonna say he beats me, yeah, I don't know, that's so fucking tragic for all you to hear, but he quit against Curtis Blades. I'm sorry, he did. And bro, would I have said I wouldn't? I don't fucking know. I wasn't in that position. I'm just saying he quit. And I feel like when you quit in the first kind of exchange of fucking, you know, first exchange that's not you holding him up against the cage, that's a fucking terrible sign. Terrible. And Volkov has gotten so much better, like I said. I honestly, some days we watch the Cyril Gane fight, I'm just like, how do you give Gane that second round? The second round was absolutely outrageous. Some people had a 30-27 Volkov, I think. You know what I mean? It was absolutely ridiculous. And it's a good scrap, this. You know, it's exciting. I will look forward to it. Almeida is very active, which I do like. You know what I mean? His last fight was back in January when he picked up against Sergey Spivak. But he hasn't really got that big name on his record, okay? He fell short against Curtis Blades. I would have maybe liked to see like a Pavlovich or something like that first before you fight a Volkov, but I'm not the matchmaker. But matchmaker Mondays, well, that's forever, right, baby? But like, subscribe. Alexander Volkov is going to knock out Jailton Almeida.